the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Talking Catholic. I'm Kari Janisse, and I am so excited today because I am here with not only my good friend Mike Walsh, but with two other wonderful co-hosts that I don't often get to be with. So Marianela and Jen are joining us as well. So if everyone wants to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So for anyone who's listened to the podcast in the past, this is one of my favorite things to do. And this is our hosts only conversation. Or as I ripped it off from another podcast called Nerdist. It's referred to as a hostful. So it's just going to be us chatting today. And it's not because we don't have a guest, it's because I wanted to do one of these. And I love my co-host. Sadly, our co-host, Mary McCusker, can't make today's episode. She let me know last minute, but we wanted to keep going with it anyway. So, I'm certain that Mary will be back on very soon, particularly since I know we have a few things to talk about related to Catholic charities in the next couple of weeks. So I guarantee you Mary will be on soon, but Marianela Nunez is our person with all of the school's knowledge, and Kari Janisse is our person with all of the youth ministry knowledge, and Jen Mauro is our person with all the journalism knowledge. And Jen, of course, is our newest co-host, which I'm very excited. This is actually the first time Kari and Jen have had an opportunity to meet. Though since we were all at the Four Winds, naturally we had to do this via Zoom. But it's even good to see you guys on a screen if we couldn't all be together in the same room. Though I have a plan to rectify that in the very, very near future. I feel, Kari, as you might recall, Kari, during the height of the pandemic last year, and you as well, Marianela, during the height of the pandemic last year, I had something at my house, and I think it's time that I bring you all back to the house at some point.
I had a feeling it was something like that. Now, as long as you bake gluten-free goodies for me, I'm there, Mike. Just tell me when. I'll make it.
Did you see that I made my first gluten-free baked good very recently? I made a
I don't follow you that closely on social media. I'll have to go look.
I made my first gluten-free banana bread, and I got news for you. It tasted great.
That's exciting. That's a good one.
And I now have a separate listing on all of my where I keep all my recipes. I have a gluten-free section that I call Kari Stuff. So
look at that. I'm moving up in the world of Mike Walsh. All right.
I am telling you, Kari, I'm not even kidding.
That's awesome. All right.
I'm very excited about it.
And we will all be there. That was a fun one. I actually was thinking about that when you started to say I have a plan. I'm like, it's Mike's backyard. That was a fun one. And
that was a fun one.
And it seems like it was just yesterday, but it was really like at the tail end of the lockdown and things opening back up. And here we are like well over a year later, and we're all Well, we're all still on Zoom, but we're all here.
And that's kind of one of the nice things that we're able to talk about right now is I was talking to our Vicar General, Father Robert Hughes, just yesterday that everything seems to be getting back to normal. And I in my role, I can tell that because not even without the air quotes. Kari just said air quotes on the Zoom. I'll go no air quotes on this. I mean actually back to normal, because in my role, all the knucklehead stuff that would go on in the Catholic Church prior to the pandemic is starting up again, and I'm thrilled about that.
Well,
all the weird stuff I would have to deal with. It's all back to normal again. So I think we're definitely at the tail end of the pandemic, even if it doesn't quite feel that way yet. Even if our schools, Marianela, as you well know, all the kids are wearing masks, but you know what? Our schools are open 5 days a week, and we haven't had an issue in the first 5 days, so that's right. That's good, right, Marianela?
Of course, it's kind of like, I think people have realized that, God's going to give us another opportunity after this pandemic. And, it's kind of like just going with the flow and doing what we have to do to keep everybody safe and to continue to do what we need to do, and teaching children is our mission, and teaching them in, the ways of God is our mission. So this is what we do.
Very true. Very true. I was just at the school today, and Mike, you were there, and the bishop was there, and nice little prayer service we live streamed. But I was actually thinking about that, like, wow, like last year there was only allowed to be one class in the church, and this year the church was full distance, 3 feet, rather than the 6 that it was last year. But and the masks. Marianela, you have to work with the schools regularly, but just to see even slight little improvements where they're doing a little bit able to do a little bit more, have a little more normalcy. I'll take away my air quotes. I'll just change it to normalcy. So, and you must be running, Mike. There's so many things going on in the diocese right now, which are all good.
Oh yeah, I've been in one day. I've been on both sides of New Jersey like 2 or 3 times this week because everything's opening up again and schools are there, and I'm getting a chance to go out and we're visiting things. So it's been great, and certainly, Jen, from your perspective, we were having a conversation as we were putting the Catholic Star Herald together this week that it was literally bursting with news. We had more news going on in the diocese than we could fit into the paper, right?
That is true. Yeah. I mean, I've been very excited to be getting out of the office these days and meeting some of our parishioners and some of the parish staff. And for about the last 3 weeks, I've been out and about and or taking calls from new people or new to me. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I'm happy to see, how much local news that we're getting in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been great. Oh, go ahead, Kari.
I was saying, no, my paper just came today. I was looking at it in the mail and I was just like, wow, I actually had that same thought, not even planned to be talked about today, but like, wow, there's a lot of good things going on, like way more than has been. And, it was very exciting and rejuvenating, refreshing to like open the Star Herald and see things happening. And that was nice.
We're getting a lot more.
Sorry, Mike.
I was just going to say, we're getting a lot more requests for coverage too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Good time.
And we have people calling, and this time of the year is always great. The weather is changing. People are doing things outside and inside at the same time. So we're getting festivals. We're getting back to school. So just really exciting time. I love the fall. My favorite.
Yeah.
It's because it's my birthday in November, so kind of like fall is the best season of the year.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Marianela, I will tell you a secret. November is my favorite month out of the entire year. November.
Why is that?
So unlike September and October, where you start to have like the goodbye to summer, because it's still kind of hot some days and you're like, oh, man, I miss summer. That's how at least the feeling I get. And I love the summer. November is like full-fledged fall, like sweater weather, like there's no turning back. So that's one reason. The other reason is it's a little calmer than September and October. It seems to be that little lull in between the fall and Christmas, Advent season, should we say. And it's not quite yet the dead of winter where it's like, okay, we just can't wait for like the warm weather again. So those are all of my reasons. And then, of course, I love the color orange. So like just the trees are all turned by then. So it's always like that feel good feeling of like, oh, I love this color, this feeling. My sweater I have on. It's just, that's it. So I'm slightly jealous that you have a birthday in November. That's awesome.
Oh, definitely. I just love the colors. Like once I came to the US from the Dominican Republic, I realized there was fall, because we always have green in the Dominican Republic. So when it's cold, it's like just a little bit cold, like not really, like you wouldn't call that cold. And, just looking at the change of seasons is exciting for me. And just, knowing that the fall is almost here, and we are excited to welcome it and just to see those beautiful colors around the season. It's such a blessing. We see the hand of God in everything that we are seeing during the seasons. So
yes, I agree with that. What's your favorite season, Jen?
Mine is definitely fall as well. And that's a lot because I grew up in Texas. Well, we don't really have seasons. It's hot season or not hot season. It's not even cold season. Like when I was growing up, a snow day was maybe once every 4 years. We maybe had some ice days but no snow days. So I love fall because I love the change of season. I love the colors as well. I don't care if orange doesn't look good on me. I wear it every day in the fall.
Yes.
Warning, Mike.
Yeah, get ready.
All right, it's okay. It's Flyers colors. I'm perfectly fine with her looking like a Philadelphia, looking like Gritty. That's fine. It's no problem with me.
That guy's better looking.
And speaking of all, I think there's one thing we haven't really talked about in the podcast from our dear and only man host here, Mike Walsh. I think he has some good news to share with our listeners that I don't know if he has publicly shared here in the podcast, but the Secretary of Communications was something that I haven't really heard you talk about, Mike. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So yes. Yes, that's true. I have not talked about it much. We did talk about it a little bit related to your boss, Dr. Bill Watson. He was recently named the Secretary for Education for the Diocese of Camden. There was a reorganization in the diocese a couple of months ago, I guess maybe in the spring. And as part of that, a number of secretariats were named. A secretariat is basically, it's a very Vatican-y kind of terminology. Basically, it split the diocese into 7 or so different sections. And my job didn't really change very much because I was kind of doing what I was doing anyway. Just this sort of fit for me. But yes, Bishop Sullivan was kind enough to name me the secretary for the Secretariat for Communications. So obviously all the stuff I usually do, the Catholic Star Herald, our social media, all of our communications work, being the spokesman for the diocese, all that stuff is still the same. But it formally named a number of our departments have communications professionals, and now they'll be coming under me as part of the how does it go again? Diocesan Interdisciplinary Communications Team will be under me now. So I'll have a little bit of have a lot more conversations with our partners in the other departments and the other divisions regarding communications in the diocese. And the secretariats, it's less like a reporting structure, and it's more that we serve as I guess maybe the easiest way of understanding it would be serve as a cabinet to the bishop. So there's 7 of us, and then there's the Chancery department has its own people in there. So that's about another 3 or 4 folks. So there's about 10 or 11 of us who now act as advisors to Bishop Dennis Sullivan for the Diocese of Camden. So yes, but you're absolutely right, Marianela. I have kept the secret on that. Well, I haven't kept the secret. But it could be that I spent too much time hanging around Jesuits in my younger days, so I'm not really big into the titles or any of that kind of stuff. Everyone that I work with is my colleague, all that kind of stuff. So I don't put it on anything. I don't really talk about it much because my job didn't really change very much out of it. But it was I'm never embarrassed about being offered a new title from the boss. So yes, that was very kind of them to think of me that way. But thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about it a little bit. So,
of course, now that our listeners are kind of like listening to just us talking here, I think it was a good idea just to bring it up because they want to get to know us a little bit better and have an opportunity to do that.
See, I was thinking they just wanted to hear more about my baking recipes, but I could be wrong.
Well, a little fun, a little like more serious with that big long title, Secretariat. Actually, Mike, you do a lot, and I think our listeners probably don't even realize all that you do, but it was nice today. The bishop gave you a little shout out, and sometimes, the people, I do a lot of the live streams and stuff for my parish, and you're like not to toot my own horn anyway, I try to stay so humble, but like, you're like the unsung heroes, right? Like you're making it all happen, that what people see, but then you're like, they don't realize like actually what goes into it. So it was nice. So like, you're just having a great day, a great week. I'm a great year. I don't know. Like, look at you go.
I'll tell you, you guys were talking about seasons, right? I tend to be the most bored in summertime because it's just the nature of diocesan work that, people, except for our shore parishes, people kind of like take it easy in the summertime. There's not a lot of events. There's not a lot going on. So once that first week of school hits, like it is back to 100 miles an hour and you're going off in 1,000 different directions. Our Catholic campus ministries had a bunch of events this week on the college campuses, and then you had all the school stuff. Kari. Now, okay, so everyone takes it easy in the summertime except for Kari. So if you check out her ministry social media throughout the entire summer, you were doing something almost every week, right, Kari?
Yeah, but more fun trips. We did some beach trips. We did little pilgrimages. So I always say it still is busy, but it's a different pacing. And that's because like the rigorous working with the school, I work with the 2 public schools doing ministries at the school. We've talked about that, the Rock, teaching religious ed for the high school students, all that kind of changes. And to be honest, it's not the stuff that I like most enjoy, like teaching. I like teaching and being with the kids, but I don't like being the teacher. So like having a trip to the beach is a lot more. It's still a busy day, you know, a lot of obligations, permission forms, travel, transportation arrangements, but it's nice. It's a different pacing. So I too enjoy summer. And when that school year hits and it's a million more things added onto your calendar, I start to feel it as well. I'm like, I don't have a free day for like a month, you know, but it's all good. It's all part of it. It's all part of serving the church. And that's
Yep. Although I will tell you this, I'm probably not supposed to tell you this to your face, but Jen and I were talking about you yesterday, and she commented to me, she goes, "How young is Kari?" And I said, "Oh," and I told her your age, and she was like, "Wait, she's that old? She looks so young."
I think I'm older than you, Jen.
Your voice, like I've been listening to, you know, the podcast, of course, for a while, and especially the last one that y'all did together. I was like, wow.
The delicious one, eating the food.
One that I listened to while I was at the gym, by the way.
Sorry.
And it was a great
Don't
idea.
look at the pictures because you'll be like, I'm going to go eat something.
I looked at the pictures and I told Mike about it. I was like, oh my, why didn't we all go?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. We'll have to do a hostful one at a restaurant next time.
That's a really good idea.
Mike, maybe when we all come to your house to do one, you could just make delicious fall treats for us, and it would be I think
there it is.
A good idea.
I would be happy to do that. You know, you guys were talking about your favorite seasons. My favorite season is actually winter, because it cannot get cold enough, because when you have a body like this, the more clothes you put on it, the better everything is. So I love cold, icy cold, hurts your lungs weather. However, for baking purposes, there's nothing better than the fall, because all the fall foods are phenomenal. So I will definitely have you guys over. I'll make a smorgasbord of foodstuffs, and you guys can all eat on Mike and make everyone want to stop listening.
And then we'll go back to the gym later that night.
Yeah,
like work it all off.
Yeah,
I'll have a kind of like a exercise plan for the day to right after eating all the treats, and join us. We'll record it and post it on social media. How's that?
That's a great idea.
A fall fest and then an early turkey trot to work it all off.
There you go.
That's the way to do it.
So Kari, you know, we were talking a little bit about like stuff we've been looking forward to now that fall's kicking in. You do have a full fall plate. So as a youth minister, you know, what is it that you're kind of gearing up, and like, what does your September look like?
Yeah, I actually always do look forward to September for two reasons. It's the calm before the storm, and I like both the calm and the storm. So typically with youth ministry, and my ministry is run from third grade all the way to 28 years old. But typically with the youth-oriented ones, which are third grade through 12th, and they're broken into 3 different groups, we take actually a 2-week break. So actually I'm just at the tail end of that 2-week break. And that is because the kids are going back to school and they need to adjust. So I've actually had a little time off, not like personal time, more so just from the ministries and kind of catching up on the other work then. And we are about to kick off our school year this Sunday. So when this airs, it will have already happened. Hopefully it's a huge success. Thank you, Lord, for a great forecast in the weather weekend. I've been keeping a close eye on that because it is an outdoor event. And it's just a way to really just invite the youth that have been involved back to ministry for the year and get them excited what's to come. The youth that haven't been involved, maybe a way to kind of get them connected in and get excited. And then that everything just starts from after that. So we go right into our regular school year routines. And as I mentioned, I teach high school religious ed. So that starts up in another 2 weeks. And then I also start up being at the high school and middle school, the public schools in my town with The Rock, which is our Catholic campus ministry, our Catholic club at a public school. So those are the things that I'm gearing up for right now. So I'm at the tail end of the calm, about to enter the storm, but it's a good storm. It's a fun storm, and we'll go straight through June with that schedule. And again, the pacing changes for about 2.5 months. So it's nice. It's a good place to be. And the kids look forward to it. And they all say, it's kind of funny. But I've heard this in ministries before, especially in like prayer groups and all, to take a little break and take some time off so that you can appreciate it. Because once you get into that like little rut of something every single Thursday, you don't appreciate it as much. So when they have that little time off, it gives them that time to reflect and kind of appreciate. Obviously we knew that happened last year with the whole lockdown and all. It was longer than 2 weeks. It was, a lot longer, but I still kind of try to carry that through even with my ministries, like take that little time off, reflect what we have, and then we come back that much stronger. So it's proven in 13 years of youth ministry to be a help to some of the students. Of course, I just went around today to our Catholic grammar school, St. Mary's School in Williamstown, and talked to every single classroom about what youth ministry is about and coming and all. And so that's always good too, because the students see you like, oh yeah, I saw you in here in June. I'm like, yeah, you didn't come to anything. Now you got to come. Okay. Come now. So that was fun. I did that today. So I enjoy all these things. Being in ministry 13 years and at the same place for 12, I've really been able to see and make a lot of connections, see some of the same kids year in, year out, and make those connections with them. And, while their schedule permits them to be able to come. So it's a fun time for youth ministers. I think across the board, most youth ministries kind of tend to do the same thing. I know some youth ministries that take the whole summer off actually. And we don't do that where I am, but it might be I don't know, for some parishes, maybe a financial thing. For us, we don't, but it is a different pacing. So we're ready. We're geared up. We got some exciting things coming up this fall, and God willing, this winter has been a little tricky still planning, but as you said, Mike, it's a little bit better right now. So I'm just kind of going full steam ahead until I'm told I have to pull back. So our retreats are planned for the fall, for the winter, and things like that.
That's the advice I've been giving everybody is keep going in the direction you're going. Let's hope that things are continuing to move forward and get a little bit better Because I certainly don't want to lose the momentum we've been building over the last several months, So, because there's really is a lot of great things going on right now, and I want people to do it smartly. And in our diocese, we follow all the directives, and one of the reasons we follow all the directives is that they've been so successful. Like everything we've done has been incredibly successful, and all we had to do was, in most parts, put on a stupid mask or go outside, or limit the number of people could take, and just do more of them and limit the number of people in a room. But each and everything we've done has been incredibly successful, and they've grown and grown and grown. So it's been a great opportunity, at least down here in South Jersey. And I think
not even just successful, safe. Everything has been safe. We haven't had like super spreads in the schools or at events at parishes for church on Sunday. It's just, and I say that to people, especially in like friends of mine that have public school kids that all last year, they were like, oh, they're home all the time. I'm like, oh, our school's open 5 days a week and everything's
awesome,
safe.
Kari. I like that. Thanks for being our ambassador too.
Listen, my son just started his first year at Catholic school.
Congrats and welcome to the family.
So I am a proud Catholic school mom, and I will spread it to everyone. And
spread the message.
Exactly.
Very exciting.
So Marianela, how has the first week of school been going? We have 30 some odd schools in South Jersey. How, from all the reports you've gotten, how's things been going?
It's been going great. I think, Bishop has had a great week going around our schools. Our principals, students, and teachers, staff all feel so excited whenever Bishop pays a visit. So they have been so thankful to, Bishop Sullivan for, his participation in the first week of school. And so far, everybody, is excited to start the new year. The students are so happy, especially with this year, there's still the fact that we need to wear the mask, but there's a lot of more liberty in some of the things that we can do. So I think they are enjoying that. Like my daughter in particular is enjoying being able to go to the cafeteria to have her lunch. And that's something that we couldn't do that last year. And we have allowed, our principals to move in that direction if they can. So I think, we are so blessed and we know what we're doing. We feel like, last year was, the first time. This year, we know, a little bit more of what COVID means and, all of the things that we have to do to keep everybody safe and learning. And we're doing it. And such an exciting time for me as a parent and also for me as somebody who works in the Office of Catholic Schools, just to see how everything develops.
I was with the bishop all 4 days, all 4 of his visits this week. And it was last year, we really didn't take tours on the first day of school. We kind of hung out outside and greeted the kids as they came in. But this year we were able to go in and get the full tour and saving the joy that those kids brought to me every single day when I walked into every single classroom was absolutely amazing. And including my own son's school. So on Thursday, Bishop visited my son's school. My son is now in 8th grade. So, like all typical 8th graders, he thinks he owns the place, like all the other 8th graders think they do anyway. But it was just great to see all the broad smiles. And boy, you're not kidding. Everywhere Bishop went, he was welcomed with open arms. The kids all stood, gave him a super cheerful welcome, Bishop Sullivan. He was great about interacting with the kids. Somehow he's from New York. So somehow he's always able to find a New York Yankees fan somewhere in these schools. So I have so many pictures of kids who are Yankees fans where he promises he'll give them something from his Yankees treasure trove. But it was great. It really had a great way of like I said, I was bouncing all over the diocese this week, but I was joyfully bouncing all over the diocese this week. It was really a lot of fun.
Definitely. And one of the things I think Bishop Sullivan has brought to us in terms of really being, somebody who promotes Catholic schools and believes in Catholic education so much and shows it with his acts. It's been, like visiting our schools every year and making sure that he has a presence. And I had one of the principals who was going to be visited this year was talking to me and said, in all the years I've been a principal, and she has been an experienced principal, in other dioceses and all, I'd never had a bishop visit my school. What do I do? So it's kind of like, wow. So, that really talks values about, our Bishop Sullivan and how he really, is engaged with our schools and wants us to, thrive every day and, to continue to be available in South Jersey. It's kind of like we thank Bishop Sullivan for all the support in Catholic schools.
And you're right about that. That is absolutely one of his sort of unwritten tenets since in his administration of the diocese. He goes out and about he has no desire to do an interview with the media. All he wants to do is be out there in the parishes, be out there in the ministries, be out there in the schools. He likes to meet with people, be with them, walk with them, accompany them, be out and about. And for me, as a guy who gets to do PR, it's great because it is easy PR. I get smiling people wherever we go. It's wonderful. I absolutely love it. I actually get bummed out when there's a bishop's event and Jen sends a different photographer instead of me there. And I'm like, number one, I know. First of all, I'm like, I know I'm the boss. I could just make myself go. But anytime she sends one of the other photographers, I was like, man, I wanted to go to that. Fine, they can take a picture too.
I think there's a reason he's saying this on air, Jen.
Well, Mike, rest assured, there's no willful disobedience intended. It is completely coincidental, but I will to tag on to what Marianela said. Yeah, we have had both Mike and our staff photographer Dave Hernandez out on the scene this week, as well as staff writer Pete Sanchez and myself. But I love watching the videos that have been posted on the Catholic Star Herald website and the Diocesan and Catholic Star Herald Facebook, as well as South Jersey schools, of the kids talking on video about what they're excited about in the new year. They are so well spoken and this articulate exactly what they're excited about, whether it's just being a sophomore for the first time. They're not scared. They're just jumping in with 2 feet. And I have to say, I've watched these videos 2 or 3 times just because they make me laugh and smile.
Oh,
that's beautiful. I have to say our kids, are definitely, such a treasure to work with. And I think, that's how our teachers stay with us for years because, it's a mission, it's a ministry, it's not a job. And, we treat it as such.
That's a good point. When I was at my son's school, as we were taking the tour, we went through every grade. I was like, oh, my son had this teacher in first grade and this one in second and this one in third and this one in fourth and this one. And they've been there the entire time. It's great. And you get this real family feel for it. So it's One of the things I truly love about our schools.
The best part is when like the parents come in like, oh, I had this teacher too. You have a it's like generational.
That happens. That happens.
As a child of 2 teachers myself, the teachers themselves hate it when that happens. Because my mom was like, wait a second, because for years and years and years, my mom taught for 30 years, my dad taught for 40 years. And my mom, for whatever reason, this was more noticeable for her. It was like when that first generation went through and they started sending their kids, she was like, oh, wow. But when the generations went through after that and they started sending their grandkids, that was a difficult moment for my mom. But
retirement is around the corner.
That's right.
Oh my.
It's a lot of names to remember.
That's
so Jen, we've talked schools and we've talked youth ministry. From your perspective as the managing editor of the Catholic Star Herald, the award-winning Catholic Star Herald, the beloved Catholic Star Herald, South Jersey's official Catholic newspaper. I'm curious from a more global perspective of what's coming down the pike, sort of like what are you looking at in the next couple of months that, Catholics should be keeping an eye out for?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of events, both locally and, like you said, on a worldwide scale, not worldwide, though that also might be possible. Who knows? For instance, we have the Universal Synod coming up and the diocesan involvement in that, which will, I believe, begin in October. The Vatican recently released a handbook for people of faith to look through, and some of the questions in there I think are good for all of us, whether we're taking part actually on this synod level or just asking ourselves these questions every day. And some of those questions will be in the next issue of the Catholic Star Herald. Spoiler alert, but they're really, really good. So something to think about. Other things coming up, we have the Blue Mass. I think that is always a beautiful event. I'm very excited to see, as I'm new to the diocese, how much school involvement is part of the annual Blue Mass. I wasn't aware of that, and in doing research and talking to some of the Blue Mass committee members, it's just really exciting to see that school students are invited to that, and I'm guessing they get a lot out of it as well. I think that's important in building community ties with all different age groups.
Yeah, that's the one that's been held now for many years in the diocese. It's a beautiful event. It's a solemn event. It's a great. It's become great tradition. It has beautiful pomp and circumstance to it. It's a many layered event. On the one hand, we're praying for police and first responders, but it's also intended to encourage them as well. And Bishop Sullivan has been very direct about that, particularly in light of a lot of stuff that's happened in the last several years. Reminding police and first responders of the importance of their duty to community and how they do their job and making sure that they're doing it in the best way possible. So it's both praying for them and encouraging at the same time. It's a great event. We're fortunate that the chief of police of Gloucester Township also happens to be one of our deacons, and it's very, very unusual. I'm not aware of any other chief of police who also happens to be a Catholic deacon, but we have one, and he's on the committee for that. And he does a great job. He and his committee do a great job of pulling this thing together every year. As a matter of fact, I think we interviewed them either last year or a year before last on the podcast. So if you want, you should go back, and our listeners should go back and take a listen to it. If you haven't, you'll be truly touched by sort of the thought and direction that goes into it. And of course, for anybody who's interested in seeing it and perhaps can't attend, by all means, check out our live stream on September 29th, right?
Yep.
Jen?
Yes.
September 29th. Yeah. On September 20th. That's right. It'll be available on all of our diocesan platforms. So at 10:30 in the morning, September 29th, it's a great event. So I hope you'll check it out. But yeah, and talking about the synod a little bit, that is I have actually an ad going out on KYW radio shortly, next month I think, promoting the synod and the fact that we do want parishes to take part in it. I mean, parishes will be taking part in it, but parishioners should really take it upon themselves. If your parish is hosting like a listening session or some sort of meeting about the synod, you really should make an effort to be a part of it, because this is an opportunity. While it's Vatican based, it is very much a grassroots entity in the sense that the first questions are being asked to the parishioners, the people in the pews. It's not coming top down and in a very real way. It's bottom up. And we're going to be talking about this a lot more in some future podcasts. As a matter of fact, we've already invited our beloved Catholic Star Herald columnist Mike Canaris to come on in a future podcast and discuss it. But with the recent release of a 44-page manual that I have not quite gotten all the way through yet, that explains the synod, that we're going to have a lot to discuss when that podcast happens. But we think that may not be the last thing that comes out of the Vatican. We actually think there might be another thing that comes out of the Vatican afterwards. So we'll have to see what happens. But I can assure you there will definitely be a podcast episode about that in the not too distant future. Although I am curious, Jen, you've now been with us for almost 90 whole days. And I'm wondering, have you been enjoying your time in the Diocese of Camden?
Oh, of course, absolutely. That's why I was saying it's so exciting to get out more. I've been visiting different parishes, seeing some of these amazing grottos and just beautiful shrines and statues that are just blow me away. Some of what I've seen, see something you would see in Washington, D.C. or Europe, and here they are nestled into South Jersey. They're stunning. And everybody I've met so far has been great, and within the chancery, in the diocesan staff, and without. So I'm really enjoying myself, and I'm very honored to work with the staff I work with. We're getting to know each other and just working really well. So it's an exciting time. I like learning new things and meeting new people and talking a lot, as you know.
I do know that. But it has been. It's been great. And if anybody hasn't seen the Catholic Star Herald in a little while, shame on you. But it's a great publication. Jen has definitely tweaked it a little bit in her first 90 days, and I would like to say for the better. The stories that are in there are very impactful. We really put a value on making sure that even when we're talking about a national or international perspective, Jen has done a great job of making sure we also provide sort of a local perspective as well. So for that, and she's also done a great job with breaking news for anyone who's aware. We had some tornadoes roll through Gloucester County last week, and she and one of our staff photographers were out there covering it. Almost in real time. So it's been a great opportunity to have her on board, and she's done a great job. So we're very excited that she's here. So thank you, Jen, and most importantly, of course, thank you for agreeing to be a podcast co-host, because,
How did that come about, Jen? Can you tell the listeners a little bit?
I thought to himself, Jen likes to talk. Maybe I'll just throw her on the radio and see what comes out. But and I was very, very happy to first off, I was honored to be asked. And second off, I'm excited. I'm excited about, what kind of topics we'll be speaking about, what the ones we've already covered. I certainly hope food will be involved in another one that I am involved in as well.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. It's a shame. Maybe Kari, maybe we should just have that be for me and you. Maybe we should be selfish about that. We won't share. There you go.
You're wounding me.
Plenty of food to go around. That was a fun one, though. Definitely one of the most memorable. Definitely one of the highlights of my summer, too. Like, just that whole weekend was fun. We did the podcast, and it was the Wedding of the Sea. And gosh, and here we are almost a month later. It just, flies by.
It really is.
We did.
Particularly as I get older, I have noticed how much time does seem to fly by. And it's making me try as best I can to stop and smell the roses a little bit more often.
Yeah, that's true.
Slow down a little. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love bouncing around. Much like Jen, I kind of hate being in the office. I was a reporter for a long time. I never wanted to be in the office. I always wanted to be out, covering something, meeting someone, driving somewhere, doing something, anything that I could. So,
right.
So the last 18 months have really been sort of terror for me, sort of doing most of my stuff on Zoom, sitting at a desk and things
Painful.
like that. Yeah, it's definitely not my preference, I'll tell you that. But that's one of the things that's been great about things opening it up. And and that's not to say that there aren't people who are still concerned. My mom and dad actually were just saying to me the other day that they've decided to go back to viewing the Mass online because they had some concerns about being at church for the next couple of weeks. And I said, well, you got to do what you got to do. I understand. I'm sure. I have no doubt that God will understand as well. But I encourage them that, when the time is right, they should definitely come back, because if there's one thing that has been true all along, it has to be done with wisdom, that the power of our faith really comes through in community. And being separated, like we were for a long time, was a great reminder of just how important that community is, which is why we have to make sure we're looking out for our community all the time. And when we can't be together, finding, as Kari did and Marianela did and I did and Jen did as a communicator, making sure that we were getting that information out when we couldn't all be together. But now there's a greater likelihood. So I hope people are finding, when they're comfortable, ways to come back together. It's good stuff.
Mike, what's one of the things you're looking forward to this fall, like covering and being a part of in the diocese? Because we mentioned there's so many big things going on and good things coming up, festivals and things like that. What is it for you that you like out and about?
That's a really good question. I was trying to think of whether this is the busiest time of year for me or not. Probably not. I guess
Lent is going to be.
Lent will always be the biggest. Yeah, will always be the busiest time of year. But this is kind of crowded, particularly because since we've been sort of shut down for so long, and not really shut down, but we've been resisting having a lot of events where we bring people together. We're actually planning a lot of those for the fall. So we have a catechist event that we're putting together in October. Kari, if you haven't been invited to that one yet, expect your invitation soon. We have and that's going to be a big one. It's going to be for all the catechists in South Jersey. Cool. It's going to be it's going to be really neat. For school teachers and it's going to be really neat. It should be really nice. We have our Justice for All dinner on behalf of Catholic Charities, and this year we're honoring the Knights of Columbus as an organization. So we're very excited about that. That's always a great night in Atlantic City. The Knights do in person, and the Knights do great work for the Catholic Church, and it's nice that we're able to really honor them this year. The Synod, I'm very excited about the Synod coming up because I've never taken part in one. So I'm very excited about it. I can tell you that as part of our Synod our Synod work, the kickoff is going to be October 17th. It's going to be a global kickoff on October 17th at the diocesan level. And ours will include the distribution of bishops' medals. So people across the diocese are nominating folks for bishops' medals, either based on their year in service or merit regarding what they've been doing as Catholics in service to the church. And we're going to have a bunch that are going to be distributed, and they're all going to be tagged with the year of St. Joseph on them, because the year of St. Joseph will be coming to an end as the Synod sort of ramps up. Mm-hmm. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's something I've been wanting to do in the diocese for a while now, is honor all the great work that happens by people who have been dedicated to their parishes. And these are people, there are lots of honors in the Catholic Church. Famously, you have papal honors all over the place, and those are usually intricate. They're only like several, maybe once or twice a decade. You'll have in a typical diocese where you have things like papal honors, but being able to do some of these bishop honors, on a more regular basis, I think, particularly coming out of the pandemic, I think there's a few people. Not that any of us do this for the pat on the back, but I think it's a good idea every now and again to really recognize folks who are really working hard. That's what the Catholic Charities Justice for All dinner has done for. This is their 17th year. There's always a main honoree, and then they find 5 people in the communities to honor as Disciples of Mercy. And it's always the Disciples of Mercy stories that really get me the most because these are folks who are just doing the thing that they wanted to do to support their community. They never did it for accolades. They weren't doing it for a spotlight. And here we are giving them an opportunity to go, hey, listen, here's a person in the community doing great work. Maybe try to be like this person, or here's something you could be doing in your parish or something else. So it's stuff like that I really enjoy.
Nice.
And, Vocations Month is coming up in November. I love when we get to focus on vocations. We've had
another reason why November's my favorite. I love vocations too. There it is.
I love it. This year, God willing, we're going to ordain 5 priests, I think.
Yeah. What a year. Yeah.
I know. Exciting. For our tiny little diocese.
I'm counting down the days. Those are some of my favorite guys right there.
Yeah. However, that comes at a cost. That means we're losing 5 seminarians, and we're losing them in the best way possible, but we're losing 5 seminarians. So that's why it's so important that not just our diocese, but all dioceses really need to put the focus on, making sure that if a person or a man in their parish might be the kind of person who's a good priest, might have that call. What often happens is you need to hear that voice from someone in your community saying, have you ever considered being a priest? Because it might have been in the back of their head. They might have heard it. They've been trying to deny it. How many times have I had a priest on this podcast who said, and I asked about their vocation story, and every single one of them was, I never wanted to be a priest. I felt a calling, and I did my best not to listen to it. Our prior vocation director, Father Mike Romano, talks about that all the time. And it didn't happen except for the fact that a couple of people asked him about it. Did you ever consider being a priest? Did you ever think that this might be something you might want to do? For whatever reason, that seems to be the trigger that takes a lot of people from hearing the call from God to putting it into action. Because I have a feeling that there are perhaps a lot of people who heard that calling and never acted on it because they were too fearful until someone said something.
They need the push.
Yeah.
Little push.
Kari, you're great with that push, aren't you? You like saying something like that.
I'm in contact with so many youth and young adults that are serious about their faith. So I think I'm in a position that God is using me and many others too in their lives to be able to give them that little push. And I'm never say afraid, but I always want to do it in the most gentle and how should I say it, natural way, because you don't want to be like, forcing it on them. Then it doesn't, it's got to be a natural way. So yeah, when those relationships are built like that, I definitely take those openings. And some of them, like I said, some of my favorite guys getting ordained. Some of them are some of those guys that I have known through the ministries and seen them grow. And I'm just so proud of them, like another mother, like just so proud of them. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that spring season where we will have those ordinations and to celebrate those men. And I too am trying to do my little work in the vineyard of cultivating some new seminarians to come in from possibly next year or in the next few years to come, because without priests we all have our church, because they are it. They're the heart of it, I should say.
I've already decided that when you're canonized, I'm going to make I'm going to make the term for you Mother of Priests. So
that's sweet. I'll take it. Okay, that's a good thing. Our Lady was the first Mother of Priests, so I'll take it. I'll be all that.
All right, another Mother of Priests. But,
man, but I actually am looking forward to something at my parish that I wanted to share about. I think Mike and I will have a future podcast on it, but we have this great event coming up called the Sacred Relics. And I know it's gone around to other parishes in the diocese and just in the surrounding areas. Maybe not in our diocese, but it's like it travels. It's like a traveling relic display. I don't want to call it a show because it's not a show, but it's Father Martin's, and he shares about these relics, and they have relics that go back to the 1st century, over 150 relics in total, some more recent saints, others are from 1st century saints. And we had it at our parish in 2013, and it was one of those events that it just was just wow, I can't believe how much I was touched in that moment and just felt. So I'm looking forward to it. It's on September 23rd at Our Lady of Peace in Williamstown. It starts with a 6:30 presentation by Father Martin's, and followed by, you could just walk around, and the relics are in our school gym called Assumption Hall. just walk through and pray with them and venerate them in different ways. And it's just a really amazing night. So I'm looking forward to that. It's coming up September 23rd in the near month at my parish. So something that I didn't have anything to do with organizing it. I didn't have to I don't have to set things up. I don't have to clean things up. I just have to show up. So that's another reason why I'm looking forward to it as well. I love those kind of events that are great, and I have no hands in them. Just get to show up. So that's
which is rare for you, because you always have a hand in everything going on in that parish. So this would be nice for you to just be able to attend.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. So,
how many? Did you say how many relics?
Over,
how many
they advertise over 150. So
over 150
maybe
relics.
151. I don't know. Yeah. So we'll see.
That's
awesome.
I am looking forward to that. I've only actually been around a handful of relics myself. I think I've been around one. I think it was I'm trying to remember if it was a class 1 or a class 2 Padre Pio relic. I think it might have been a class 1. And then the St. Joe's Polish Church in Camden has some 200 relics. So it's just
go right there. I didn't even know.
No, well, I can. It's across town for me, so it's no big deal. But I am very much looking forward to the cool. relics presentation at Our Lady of Peace. What was the day and time again?
It is Thursday, September 23rd, and 6:30 p.m. is the official presentation. But it's kind of open all evening then for people to walk around. So yeah, that's coming up.
Okay,
Mike, right at your home parish, right there. Actually coming up, the feast day of St. Gerard in October 16th. They have a little relic of him there, right at St. Bridget's in Glassboro. So
they do. Yeah.
Every Sunday you can just go, venerate one if you wanted to.
Thank you, Kari. I'm
always trying to further your spiritual life, Mike.
I very
good job,
much appreciate
Kari.
that. Very kind of you.
Mother of number 2.
Mother of priest, mother of Mike Walsh, whatever we want to be called here.
Listen, I am a firm believer that it takes a village. I have needed many people. Why do you think I have 4 co-hosts? I can't do this by myself. I need you guys to move me along. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, let's do some plugs. Kari gave us a good plug just now. What about you, Marianela? Anything if people want to learn more about South Jersey Catholic Schools, where can they go?
Well, they can go to southjerseycatholicschools.org, and we have our website with all of our schools listed. You can get a flavor of what our schools are about, and our schools have the same curriculum. They share same values, but they all have their different flavor depending on where they are. So just go check them out. And, we're also available at the Office of Catholic Schools for any questions or, concerns you may have. You may reach out to us at 856-583-6103. And we're happy to answer your questions and concerns.
Awesome. How about you, Jen? anything you'd like to plug?
Well, I think that the newspaper is always something great to pick up or visit online at catholicstarherald.org. And of course, keep listening to these podcasts. But we do have some really great stuff coming up. Catechetical Sunday, the Blue Mass, which we spoke about, and the JFA dinner, and so much more. So please continue to pick up paper, and thanks for supporting us.
There we go. And from my end, I'll just talk about, the Catholic Church in general. There's a lot of great outlets for Catholicism nowadays. I was just having this conversation with somebody recently, and, there's a lot of things online that you can go that purport to be Catholic. But I do hope that people are still, finding their Catholicism in their local parishes. And if not the parish in their hometown, maybe it's the parish, cross town, or it might be the parish in a nearby town. We hope that you're remembering that these communities that we live in, these physical communities we live in, are what make us who we are. And it's where we can have the most effect on people. And that we shouldn't be afraid to live our faith very publicly and proudly, not in a way that's, problematic, but in a way that helps bring people to the faith. So that if you are someone who during this pandemic has gotten quite used to, living your faith online, come back and live your faith with us. Do it safely, do it when you're ready to do it, but let's live it in community, and let's live it together, and we'll have a positive impact on each other. So everybody, thank you very much for listening to my beloved co-hosts, Jennifer Mauro and Kari Janisse and Marianela Nunez, and our erstwhile one, Mary McCusker, who will join us in the near future. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. See you, everybody.
God bless.